So we're filming all our videos Saturday, filming in the Braille house, and then I look out the gate, and who do I see roll by? Rick G, the legend of Rick G. So
You're probably aware of the kickflip that I landed at Braille, but you are probably not aware of what was going on at the Braille house the day that I went down there to do it. And I want to tell you that story. It's a bit of an embarrassing story, and it was my brush with the great Andy Anderson. The reason I want to tell you the story is because I think that one of the things that stops people from getting involved in new activities, or skateboarding in particular, is the fear of appearing foolish or of being unskilled. And that's vanity, right? That's a direct outgrowth of the ego. And the telling of this story is really sort of an exercise for me to learn to let go of parts of my ego, to sort of get over the idea of vanity and the need to look good or appear competent. And there's some moments where I am just really uncomfortable, and I'm trying to figure out why the story bothers me so much. And I probably should edit some of that out, but I think watching me squirm may be entertaining for you. And again, it's sort of, I'm going to leave some of it in there just as an exercise for myself to let myself be who I am and how I am. And you know, with skateboarding, you see so many clips of people doing these like flawless tricks with perfect posture on the most incredible obstacles, and they land over the bolts, and everything is so perfect. And it can give you the wrong idea about skateboarding. You know, skateboarding at its core is just about rolling around in presence. And you know, when you're doing that, when you've got danger around you and you're on your wheels, there's not a lot of room for ego. I mean, there's plenty of room for it on reflection, and there's plenty of room for it when you're making a video and you're examining the clips that you've taken and editing things together. I mean, that's all ego. And this is all ego, and this story that I'm telling you right now was threatening to my ego, so I'm putting it out there. I mean, I'm realizing for myself that if I'm going to do this, if I'm going to share stories, I need to be willing to appear foolish or unskilled because I am. So I need to kind of let go of part of my ego and let that give me access to things that would otherwise be off the table. So with that in mind, I hope you enjoy the story. I hope it inspires you to do something that you would otherwise not do. And I hope it brings you some joy. Thank you. This is a story about me bumbling my way into a situation that I should not have been in, and me behaving inappropriately, and then having to come to terms with that. I was not invited to the Braille house this Saturday that I landed that kickflip. Not exactly. I reached out to Aaron to ask if I could come back and try and land it, because I had failed so badly the week before. He told me to come by on Saturday. I told him I couldn't because I was working. But when Saturday came around, I had to cancel some lessons because there was a match at the tennis club. So I immediately reached out to him. I didn't get a response, but I drove down there anyways. And when I got there, I sent him another message from the parking lot, no response. I could hear there was stuff going on, but I approached the warehouse. And Mowgli, who's a Braille team member, came to the gate to tell me that Aaron was in the middle of a live stream, a live thing that he was doing, and that he couldn't be interrupted. And I said, okay, I'll come back another time. So I leave, I go get some food, and I'm gone for about an hour and a half. And I can still hear there's a lot of noise in the warehouse. They're busy doing something, and I don't want to interrupt. So I get out of my car, and I just do some stretching. I'm stretching by my car, and I'm kind of getting myself psyched up to try and go in there and land a kickflip. And my body is still pretty sore. So I stretch for quite a while, and it starts to quiet down a little bit inside the Braille house. So I decide I'm gonna peek in, but I don't want to go too close. I don't want to interrupt anything or be noticed really. So I walk up to the like the garage door at this warehouse, and this is what happens.
To skateboarding. It's so important to me. In fact, it was skateboarding until we discovered ramps and stuff, and it was left in the dark. Same with Vert. So huge shout out for Braille for supporting skateboarding, not just deciding that this kind of skateboarding is skateboarding and this kind of skateboarding isn't skateboarding. Skateboarding in general. Braille's a supporter. Got to give him respect for that.
Whoa! Is that Rick G? The legend, Rick G!
Yeah.
Rick G, get in here! Hold on.
Oh man, I'm just.
Rick G, come on!
I don't know if you guys can see it on my face, but I'm just so relieved that this project is finally underway.
Got your board, Rick G?
So everybody who messages me, what kind of helmet do you wear? Where can I get your helmet?
It's okay.
There's an answer. You can get my helmet in the description below.
So I go to my car and I get my skateboard and I come back in, and I should have known, I guess, that those cameras were doing something. I don't know. So I'm just like a bunch of nervous energy, really, right? They invited me in, and I got my skateboard, and I'm like, I'm hyped up to do this kickflip. And I don't realize that they're interviewing Andy Anderson right now. I don't realize any of that is happening. It is not obvious. There's not like a big screen with like Andy's image on it. There's just a bunch of Braille guys. Oh, God. So I don't know what I was expecting, but I go in and I'm like looking at Aaron, and he's like half distracted by the camera and like trying to be personable and respond to me. And he can tell there was just some really awkward little moments of interaction. And he says to me, "Why don't you go warm up?" So I say, okay. But I don't, again,
It's a lot of jargon for anybody who doesn't know freestyle. But if you know freestyle, you know what I'm going through here. What you got, Ricky? You look intensely reading. What you got?
All right. I see them all saying handstand kickflip, Andy. Should I try to get one for you?
Oh, yes. Please.
All right.
Can you do
I haven't
those?
done it in a while, to be honest, but I'll just do it safe. That's
Oh, 3 tries.
It's been a while since I've done that. It hurts my wrist a little bit.
Also, wanted to throw this out there in case you're just tuning in. Do a no comply flip like Ricky did earlier in this video. Send it to me, and I will send you an 845 version of my board, which is freaking hard to get right now. So might as well go try to learn it.
What size do you skate normally, Andy? Is that the one you skate?
I skate the 9.13. It's not only is it wider, but it's longer. So you have to have a really wide stance if you want to get on.
What's the wheelbase?
It's a 15-inch wheelbase.
Wow.
And a regular board is a 14 and a quarter.
Yeah.
And 90s boards are a 14. So 14 and a quarter is even big for some people.
I'm not aware of the noise that I'm making. I'm not aware of everything that's going on around me. So that happened. Then Aaron's wife showed up with the dogs.
Hello.
Oh, doggies. They got so big. Oh, boy.
And thank God that happened, because that got me to stop skating. Because Ollie, I was interested in the dogs, and that quieted everybody down, and they got to finish their interview with Andy. And then I landed my kickflip and went home. When I got home, there's a YouTube release from Braille that says Andy Anderson's biggest announcement ever. And I click on it, and in the first few minutes, I see Mowgli get up and walk away from the camera. And it dawns on me that that was when Mowgli came to the gate to tell me that Aaron was busy. So I look at how long the video is, and it's multiple hours, this live stream, and I'm like, oh no, like that was today. And I immediately skip forward several hours to see the clips that I'm showing you. And I just could not even stand it. It was so embarrassing. So embarrassing. Anyway, what I learned from this experience, my self-centeredness, my focus on my purpose for being at Braille that day had me so amped up and distracted. No, what's the word? Like, why am I so annoyed by the way I behaved? I don't know that I would have done anything differently if I did it again. I mean, Aaron said warm up. I went back and warmed up. Little did I know I was squeaking around, distracting Ricky from doing tricks. And what have I learned? How would I protect myself from making an ass of myself again in that same situation? I mean, I know they make YouTube videos. I knew he was doing a live something or another. I should have asked if it ended. If I had done that, he would have told me he's on with Andy Anderson. I would have had the opportunity to interact with Andy. I wouldn't have made a giant ass of myself. It would have been a much bigger win. So I guess that is my takeaway, is that if I had been more considerate by asking if they were free, but he invited me in so enthusiastically. It was a bit of a, yeah, ask questions. Ask some questions. Make sure you're aware of your surroundings so you can take advantage of the situation. I mean, it would have been thrilling to interact with Andy Anderson. That would have been amazing. It would have been awesome to not have embarrassed myself in that way on a live webcast. Yeah, so that's my takeaway, is that it's really useful to pay attention to your surroundings. It's useful to think about how your behavior might be impacting the people around you. It's useful to ask questions. Yeah, and it's useful to have a bit of the sense of humor about yourself. If you take yourself too seriously, everything is a nightmare. Yeah, I guess that's why it's so embarrassing, because I take myself too seriously. For those moments, I was the buffoon squeaking around, making a ruckus. And that's okay. That was where I was at. But if I could do it over, I would ask questions. I would be a little bit more considerate and a little bit more aware of my surroundings. Thank you for your time and attention. I hope this was enjoyable for you. I hope you get out there and go skateboard. I hope you find a way past any barrier that you may perceive as in your way. And I hope you just go do it, because it is joyful. and whose life doesn't need a little bit more joy? Thank you for your time and attention.